Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how y'all doing tonight? This is the Club of the Man, 1993, styling and profiling with my new haircut. That's right. We are live to review this past Sunday's pay-per-view WWE Money in the Bank 2021. And once again, feels very good saying this, but I'm for once again not saying live at the WWE Thunderdome. No. This past Sunday's pay-per-view was live at Dickies Arena in Fort Worth, Texas. Again, this is the first pay-per-view, besides WrestleMania 37, to be back in front of a live audience. 70 weeks ago. And yes, we are live, including the Tooth of the Loch Ness Monster. No way, Jose. No. We're live to talk about Money in the Bank. I was going to review this last night. Unfortunately, though, I had a very, very last minute opening to get my hair cut. And I want to get my hair cut for this weekend because I have a wedding to go to this weekend and next weekend. Both as a guest, not working. And I want to look good, especially since it's my first wedding in 4 years I'm going to with a date. So, I want to look good, make it my best, shine on the dance floor, tell everybody to get out of the way and go, I'll evacuate the dance floor. Okay, not singing some Cascada on here. Anyways, but I'm here live. So here's the thing. Tonight's going to be a tale of two stories. I'm going to do my Money in the Bank review, and I'm going to do my Raw review. I'm not watching NXT tonight. This is going to be a tale of two stories tonight. We're going to do my Money in the Bank review, but I'm going to act like I had never watched last night's episode of Raw. Then we get to the Raw review. Oh boy, I am going to have quite a bit to say in that Raw review. But let's talk about a show other than one match I really enjoyed. I liked Money in the Bank 2021. I thought the pay-per-view was, despite the fact that some of the matches, the hype wasn't quite there, especially for, Rhea and Charlotte, the build for that was terrible. I was concerned about what they're going to do about Lashley and Kofi. The other matches, just were what they were, but overall, a pretty good pay-per-view. Again, only one match I did not like, and that was the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. We'll talk about that, of course, when we get to it. But overall, good show, great night, a nice show to have the for the fans returning back. Some nice big pops some people got, especially like Edge, who returned at the end of the show. Roman Reigns got booed out of the building, which she should. Of course, the winner of the men's Money in the Bank ladder match got a crazy pop. Of course, if you saw the live reactions, Joe and I went completely nuts. It was a fun night. It was a fun show. So yeah, let's talk about it. Let's talk about Money in the Bank 2021. But first, as always, let's check the live chat, or the shot of live. Trying to get my perkiness back into some of my streams. And of course, it's going to be there for this one. So let's do the live chat. We got JR saying he's surprised they gave the briefcase to Make My Ass. What? Did you think Rob was good last night? I thought certain parts of Raw was good last night. Oh, Raw. We'll talk about Raw when we get to it. And we got Mark. What's up, Mark? By the way, buddy, I gotta say, Mark, you warned me last night. You're right. I did get my hopes up a little bit. But, and one question is, when does a certain someone cash in? We'll get to that. We'll talk about that, of course. And also, do you think Big E's going to cash in on Roman Reigns and accidentally retain that, or win the title back before the title, because Nikki We'll talk about that again. Again, like I said, I'm doing. Let's not get a little too far ahead of ourselves. Again, I'm going to treat this Money in the Bank review as if I had not yet seen Raw. So again, that's what I'm going to say. So please refrain from talking about Raw in the live chat because again, I want to do this review as if I didn't watch Raw yet. But let's roll and let's talk about it. We opened up on the pre-show. Not Jay-Zo first. Well, the Usos and the Mysterios. Rey and Dominic Mysterio taking on Jimmy and Jey Uso for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. This is the first tag title match for the Usos on pay-per-view. They had, of course, two in one night about a month ago on SmackDown. But the last time the Usos had a tag title opportunity on pay-per-view was at WrestleMania 36 in that ladder match. It ended up being like a triple threat singles match because Miz was hurt and it was just Miz who got hurt or was sick, one of the two, can't remember. But that's the last time the Usos had a tag team match on pay-per-view. Just watch the highlights for this again. I was going to actually watch the match. My friend, Joe and Megan came over, got there a little earlier, and we actually played some Mario Golf to start, so I didn't get to watch this match. But when I saw the highlights, it was good. You expect this match to be good. Again, not a match we would put on the pre-show, though. I definitely would have had AJ Styles and Omos versus the Viking Raiders put on the pre-show. This put on the main card. This was much more main card worthy, I felt. But the Usos win. They're now 7-time tag team champions. And I think I'm going to officially call Jimmy Uso a heel. I think I can, even though I still not completely, I'll say I'm sold that, he's heelish enough for now. So I'll call Jimmy Uso a heel. I'll do the turn alerts tonight. Maybe I'll record it for my Raw review. I don't know. Who knows? But So Usos win. 7-time tag team champions. The bloodline, of course, is growing. Now, I know we're not at the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. I did hear a rumor. Apparently, and let me double check here. I want to double check something real quick here on the WWE app and just see if they made it official on there or not. Let me scroll through here. Nope, still showing her as Raw. But, by the way, also, did anybody look at the roster for the WWE app last night? Because if you did, they put, the new people in there, they hadn't made profiles for, LA Knight, A-Kid, Mace, T-Bar, a couple of NXT talents, but did you notice that they accidentally put each of the new people they're trying to insert in there twice? They put them in there twice, so bloopers on the app, and also on this pay-per-view also, I forgot about one thing. One thing I'll have to mention when we get to the men's Money in the Bank ladder match, how Peacock literally just crapped out on us. But apparently rumors are that Naomi is quietly moving over to SmackDown, which could be good. She could be the female, part of the bloodline. It actually would make a good feud. I mean, I'm still hoping for Bianca versus Sasha at SummerSlam in the rematch. Iron Woman, please. I still want that. If not at SummerSlam, probably whatever pay-per-view is for the fall, for probably Clash of Champions. A feud with Bianca and Naomi actually would not be a bad idea. If you kind of make Naomi more of a heel and put her with the bloodline, that'd be good. Bianca and Naomi, it's possible. So, yeah, bloodlines taking all the gold. So, works for me. So, Usos win as I expected them to. Again, they are 7-time tag team champions in WWE, and definitely, of course, future Hall of Famers. But of course, there was trending get a DUI, win a title. Yes, there's still the thing about Jimmy Uso getting his 4th DUI Yet they still just like brushed off like it was nothing and gave him the tag titles a week later. That did sit with a salty taste in my mouth, but nothing I can really argue about at this point. And I don't like to get into that stuff about it on my channel anymore. So whatever. So we have that match on the pre-show. The opening match on the main show. Only match on the show I'll say I did not like. It's not a worst match of the year contender for me, but it definitely was, in my opinion, maybe one of my least favorite Money in the Bank ladder matches I've seen. The women's Money in the Bank ladder match from Raw. It was Alexa Bliss, Asuka, Nikki A.S.H. or Nikki A.S.H. I don't know what they're calling her now. Either one. Well, I should know because not getting ahead of myself. Nikki Cross, Nikki A.S.H., Nikki A.S.H. I don't care what you call her. And Naomi from Raw. From SmackDown, it was Liv Morgan, Zelina Vega, Natalya, and Tamina. First of all, I was hoping, praying, and this is me learning my lesson from the past 2 days, not getting my hopes up. Becky Lynch posted a photo of her standing in front of Dickies Arena, saying it's a great day for a show. Wonder if someone will not be able to be in that ladder match today. Tease the heck out of us, and didn't show up. She did that at WrestleMania. She did it at the Rumble with her in front of my Gorilla. She has teased the living daylights out of her return. She's even going on Twitter now and saying her location is Charlotte, always in Charlotte's head, basically, or whatnot. Dang it, she has not returned yet! Okay, that's me going a little bit into Raw, but we're not talking Raw. Again, pretending Raw has not happened yet. Because if I start talking about Raw, I'm going to rant. Because I hated Raw last night. And I better stop now. Okay. This match was not that good. I'm sorry. I thought it was sloppy. It was super rushed. A lot of very corny and not so great spots. Like, for example, as I've said for quite a while now, they had a spot where Alexa Bliss was climbing up the ladder. Zelina Vega was at the top with her. They just stared at each other. And Alexa's going like... And Zelina Vega's going... Basically saying Alexa Bliss is possessing her. Again, it looked so fake. It looked so freaking fake. Again, like I said, people complain that wrestling is fake, which I say, no, it's not supposed to be fake. It's supposed to be, they're supposed to be telling stories with their bodies, convincing that it looks real. They're actually getting hurt in there when you feel like they're not. But again, stuff like that, you can't get away without making it look realistic. And it just doesn't. It doesn't. It looks so fake. There was that. There was... I'm trying to remember. There's a couple other, there wasn't many creative spots. It was messy. It was rushed. Like, at the beginning of the match, I remember all 8 of them basically had a spot where it's like they had a moment to shine with their finisher or whatnot. It was a super rush. And again, it just, nothing really stood out that much to me. Nothing really. Towards the end of the match, they buried Alexa Bliss under a bunch of ladders. I was afraid she was going to, raise from the dead from the ladders, or, the ladders going to shoot fire out or something. But like I said, there's not a live audience there anymore. Obviously, they can't get away with, like, cinematic stuff anymore. So, Alexa Bliss never returned. And then came the finish. Well, first off, they also had pulled the big ladders out already. There was no, like, small ladders. You usually work away from the small to the big ladders. But then they pull out 3 big ladders. From Asuka, Naomi, Natalya, and Tamina, who worked together as a team a couple times, of course, because they are a tag team, but they never had tension between themselves. It was Asuka, Naomi, Natty, Tamina, Liv and Zelina each climbed up, like two climbed up on one ladder. Basically, it was all six of these women climbed up on ladders. They started brawling like maniacs, like literally with the briefcase like hanging right above their heads. Like no one even reached for the briefcase. Nobody. And then right behind came Nikki Cross. She climbed up the ladder, like climbed on top of whoever's back it was, and I'm just like, you wouldn't. You wouldn't. They did. Nikki Cross, Nikki A.S.H, Nikki A.S.H, Super Nikki, whatever her name is, wins the Women's Money in the Bank briefcase while making six other women look like complete goons. And I was just like, huh? Like, and the thing was remember, in my previous predictions, I did say I won't be surprised if they put the briefcase on Nikki Cross. Like, putting the briefcase on Nikki Cross would have felt, and it did, felt exactly like what it did when Otis won the briefcase. Like, and the thing was the difference last year was Otis was on a good run. Otis was having good momentum. He was part of a great storyline with him and Mandy Rose and Dolph Ziggler. Except that you felt like that was more of like a low card, storyline to put on like a decent match. You didn't feel like that was a main event line. With Nikki Cross and this superhero thing that apparently is her idea. Again, to me, it was just like, okay, this feels like a joke. Like, they know Nikki Cross is a joke. And I know this whole superhero gimmick was apparently Nikki's idea, but it's like Nikki's embracing that she knows she's a joke, and she's basically doing, whatever Vince McMahon probably sees her as. Like, this whole superhero thing, to me, is made me think of how, they wanted the revival to be. Like, the revival shared a story about those corny costumes they were going to wear that they basically refused to do, and that was like the last straw for them. Like, that's how I feel like with Nikki Cross, except Nikki Cross is embracing it. Basically coming up with this idea for her to get on TV, but she's doing something that, Vince McMahon would want her to do to actually, get her TV time. And maybe a championship, maybe. Like, it feels like a joke. I mean, again, and I love Nikki Cross. I've been a big fan of Nikki Cross, with her work at NXT, Insanity, when she was by herself, of course, when she was a babyface. She was, like I said, I think it was 2018. 2018 had it been. To me, I think she was my number 3 or number 4 Women's Wrestler of the Year. Because she had a great character, she had a great story, she had some excellent matches, and now it's like she's just been a joke. Just jobbing, and then like it was when they gave the title to Matt Riddle, when they gave the title to Braun Strowman, it's like, you wore the hell out of them, you wore the craziness out of Nikki Cross, once nobody cares, and you've literally made her into a complete joke, then you give her the briefcase? Like, just, you see this gimmick, the music, the name, just everything about it, all you see is Vince. Vince, that's all you see. You wouldn't get this from Nikki Cross in NXT. You wouldn't get this from Nikki Cross in AEW or anywhere else. You would get this because she's trying to please Vince McMahon. And I'm sorry, I hate it. I mean, I tried to show a little more, openness toward it because this apparently was Nikki's idea, but I'm at the point where, you know what? Nikki's only thinking this way because she knows that's how Vince thinks. So he does some. So like this feels like a kids thing. The fans are back. They gotta embrace the kids again. Like this was never in God's name ever meant to be a kids show. But yeah, it just was. This match just wasn't that great. I wouldn't consider it my worst match of the year, but definitely probably one of my least favorite Money in the Bank ladder matches for sure. Nothing that special, nothing that great. Again, just a bunch of 6 women brawling like goons on ladders, and Nikki Cross climbs over the pile like nobody even noticed, and she wins the briefcase. So that's our thoughts on that match. The next match was the Raw Tag Team Championship match with AJ Styles and Omos versus the Viking Raiders. Well, my friend called Joe called Omos Osmos, or he couldn't remember his name. Okay, I'll say his match was decent. Like, I could tell if they went out there and they did try. I mean, and AJ Styles is just, his body's wearing down. He's definitely not on the level he once was. Omos, it's decent. I still don't think he's that great. He's just a big man that, Vince is just trying to make into a star because he's big, but, he doesn't really amaze me much yet, even though the crowd popped for AJ and Omos. They got a babyface reaction, even though they're supposed to be the heels. Then there's the Viking Raiders. Again, they're just worn down as hell. Although Ivar had a couple good spots because, he has good agility. He did some move that kind of reminded me of Cesaro. I can't remember what it was called. But Styles and Omos win after Omos just slammed Eric into the mat. It's just me, again, like I said, like last year whenever they feuded with the Street Profits, it felt like the Vince McMahon had a huge man crush on Ivar. I'm just saying, I could see them splitting up the Viking Raiders, Ivar getting a singles push, and Eric basically being the next Tucker. Dresses up as a jobber and goes back to catering. Big time, even though these guys feel like they are in catering. But, like I said, I'll say it was decent. I didn't hate it, but it just felt like a match that should have been on Raw. Just my opinion. Should have been on the pre-show instead of the Mysterios and the Usos. But again, I'll give them and say it was decent. So, decent tag match. The next match is the WWE Championship match. Bobby Lashley versus Kofi Kingston. This was a good length, glorified squash match. I mean, I was hoping, it would have given Kofi some spots, which it gave him a little bit at the beginning, but not much. But he didn't look like a joke compared to his match with Brock Lesnar, of course, when he lost in 8 seconds. But I feel like with the booking recently, and of course with the random roll-up loss to Xavier Woods, Bobby Lashley needed a performance like this. He basically went in there and just dominated Kofi Kingston. But just beating him in a few seconds was not enough. He wanted to make Kofi Kingston pay for him calling Kofi soft. Saying he's, hung out in the VIP lounge with women, he's slacked off, he's not tolerating that. So he went in there, and despite the fact that, he definitely had Kofi finished a few times, he pretty much just went in there and just manhandled him. He did some type of his Dominator finisher, like 3 times in a row, and that's what led to Bobby Lashley retaining the title over Kofi Kingston. And I was sitting there praying to God, hoping that Brock Lesnar would come out. He did not. We'll talk about Bobby Lashley and SummerSlam later on in my Raw review. But this is what it needed to be. I was fine with it. I mean, I would like to see Kofi, get a more serious side, but I don't. They're not going to, give Kofi that main event push again. They're not. The few promos he had, though, of course, in the build of this were pretty good. He had with MVP, but then the last couple weeks, it's like they just veer off from that. So whatever. At least it benefited Bobby Lashley, because like I said, the last pay-per-view also they had him beat Drew McIntyre by cheating. Now I'm just like, no, Bobby Lashley did not have to win that way. So this is a dominating win for him. Works for me. Let's check the live chat before we move on to the next part of the show. what did they say that Chris Jericho invaded the Money in the Bank ladder match? Like, they said that he created it when he did, but why did they say the last night when he's not even a superstar? I mean, he was the person who came up with the idea, I think. And Naomi's on SmackDown now. Last summer, I heard they moved to SmackDown. I'll let you know in your Raw review, but the way I would have ended Raw would have been different. Oh, me too. He also disappointed that Liv didn't win. I agree. So why is WWE pushing Nikki A.S.H. now to be the woman, to be the briefcase holder, and pushing her now because they know she's getting released soon or something? Again, probably because she's doing something that Vince would enjoy. Like I said, it feels like even though this is her idea, she's basically stooping down to Vince's level and doing something Vince would approve. Like I said, this whole superhero gimmick feels like something they would, that like they were trying to get the Revival to do before the Revival basically said that's I had enough. Or when Pac was in WWE, they wanted to bring him up and give him this like Mighty Mouse gimmick. Again, that's a kid's thing. But no, gotta please the kids. And again, this show is not meant for kids. Sorry, it's not meant for kids. Not at all. But we move on now to this match. Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair for the Raw Women's Championship. Rematch from Hell in a Cell. First off, at the beginning of the match, of course, the crowd hijacked it. I mean, there was people cheering for Rhea, cheering for Charlotte again. Nobody knew who to cheer for. Because both these women have been booked like heels. Well, one week they're heels, one week they're like faces. The inconsistency of their dynamic because they're inconsistently. And even at the beginning of the match, they were chanting, "We want Becky." I'm like, okay, if Becky Lynch is not coming out for that women's Money in the Bank ladder match, she's definitely coming out and facing off against the winner of this match. But they were chanting, "We want Becky," and then they shut off they blacked out the camera for a second and turned it back on. But Charlotte Flair actually flicked off the crowd and said "F you," basically, to them. And then started the match, which was bold and, got a good reaction. Really got the match's attention. But screw the fact that this story was horrible. Again, these two always put on excellent matches. Again, their match at WrestleMania 36 was still awesome. Despite the finish to the Hell in a Cell match, that was still pretty good. This definitely, I'd say I may like this. It's in between, because I definitely like them more than Hell in a Cell, but I probably like the WrestleMania match a little bit more. Now, yes, Charlotte Flair won. She got Rhea Ripley to tap out, but I'm fine with how it happened. Again, I think the story the whole time they were trying to tell is basically Rhea was trying to do what Charlotte would do, and Charlotte was just being Charlotte, basically. They were trying to, outdo the other and who could be the best. It just, again, it was just came across as very poor, very hokey, and just didn't work out well. And again, of course, it just really, hasn't made Rhea look too good on her main roster run so far. Sorry, yawning, but the finish to me was, it's like, it was a finish. Yeah, Charlotte wins again. Now she's an 11-time world champion. Can't remember how many time world champion she is, women's champion she is. Not including her 2 NXT. I think 13-time including her NXT title runs. I can't remember. I think 5-time SmackDown, 5-time Raw, 1 Divas, and then only 2 NXT women's title runs. So 13 technically altogether she's won, but they're only counting, her main roster title wins 11. Well, 14 if you want to count her very, very brief and forgettable run with the women's tag titles earlier this year. But Charlotte wins. Again, she won by, obviously, she knew she had to dig a little deeper and to beat Rhea. And she, put Rhea's, leg into the steel steps. And, nuts, kicking the steps to, basically almost, break the leg of Rhea. And she would then put Rhea into the figure 8 and get Rhea to tap out. So Charlotte Flair wins. Results, it was a clean finish. It was a great match. I'm not going to complain. Still no Becky, though. And of course, we all know we'll get to more of this when we get to my Raw review. To be continued. Let's talk about, though, my favorite match of the night. No doubt about it. The men's Money in the Bank ladder match. For Raw, it was Drew McIntyre, Matt Riddle, Ricochet, and John Morrison. Which I gotta say, even though of course this dripstick stuff to me is super hokey, Johnny Drip Drip is really over. I still get worried at times. Vince tries to do some piped in noises. There's definitely a few times I feel like he still has, but Johnny Drip Drip, Johnny Drip Drip is super over right now, which is pretty cool. Even Matt Riddle on both nights from Raw and from Money in the Bank is getting a great reaction also, which makes me happy. Even though I still hate the way they're booking him, but he's still over with the crowd. Drew McIntyre, though, unfortunately got booed, which, I understand why, but they made the right call here, and Ricochet got spot. For SmackDown, we had Big E, my pick to win, Kevin Owens, Shinsuke Nakamura, and Embrace the Vision, Seth Rollins. Just an awesome match. Awesome match. Crowd was hot and into it. Now, this was the point, though, also in the show where some of you, I know, experienced this too, but Peacock started, glitching, and, we thought we were going to have to, watch it from, our phones or stuff, or from, a streaming network, because the Peacock started glitching out, and we barely were, seeing, anything from this match at the beginning. But it finally got better, and again, this match is just awesome. We had Ricochet doing a springboard off the rope, cross body, he got a ton of height on it, itching me to believe that that they're trying to book him like NXT's Ricochet. I know they definitely won't go all out with him on the main roster, but they're teasing us with these springboards he's doing off the ropes, like that one or one he did from John Morrison, basically landing in the crowd area of the Thunderdome. He was awesome. Matt Riddle got some good pops with hitting the RKOs a few times. Again, Drew McIntyre, unfortunately, he had a nice spot where he did do a dive over the ropes, took everyone out. But like I said, people were worried that he would win. I was worried he would win. And again, I care enough to not see Drew McIntyre get treated like Roman Reigns or John Cena and whatnot. So I'm like, him losing could be one of the best things that happened to him. And sure enough, exactly what happened needed to happen. He was climbing the ladder going for the briefcase. It was kind of early on too, which I was surprised. Because then Jinder Mahal, Shanky, and Veer came out and took out Drew with a chair, and then they carried him away. He was getting ready to be crucified, basically. I was worried, though, because it was kind of early in the match. I thought, oh, watch, Drew's going to pull this thing where he gets taken away due to injury and comes back at the end of the match and wins. I was worried that was going to happen. It did not, though. Shinsuke had a few moments he shined. Seth Rollins looked very dominating. Kevin Owens also. Kevin Owens, my gosh, like I said, I wish there's just not enough room for Kevin Owens' success in WWE. Because even though he doesn't he hasn't got a championship in God knows how long. I think the last time he actually won a title was when he was United States champion in 2017, I gotta say. I think. Anyway, it's been too long. He deserves something. Like I said, the work he's put in, the stuff he did, the promos he cuts when he's literally on fire, like him, spitting on Shane. Well, the promos on Shane, his work with Roman Reigns, TLC and Rumble season was just excellent. He's gotta be rewarded with something. At some point, they gotta throw him a freaking bone. This man did a buckle bomb through the ladder, which was sick. And again, you think about some of the crazy bumps Owens has taken, from that to him jumping off the top of the ladder, doing an elbow through the table from SmackDown this past Friday, to to the what's it called? That nasty DDT that Sami Zayn gave him during the ladder match at WrestleMania 32. Like, you forget that this man puts his line on the body a lot more than a lot more other people did. Like last year, apparently, if it was at WrestleMania 36 was at Raymond James Stadium, he would have jump off a freaking pirate ship. Like, this man literally just goes out of his way to put his body on the line. He may not have jumped off the top of Hell in a Cell when he was a heel and he feuded with Shane McMahon and Shane was the face. I tell you what, if that was Kevin Owens now as a babyface, he'd be jumping off Hell in a Cell. I could see Kevin Owens jumping off Hell in a Cell. Then we have Big E. He had a couple of moments where he had a couple, collisions with Drew McIntyre. He did do that spear. I know so many people want Big E to stop doing that spear, and I worry too, because the way he does it at a point where it's like he's a shoulder injury waiting to happen. Like, he just it's just so explosive through there, but he still gets it done. And Seth Rollins dominated too. I'd say Seth Rollins was the most dominating heel in the match. There actually was a short while where he actually teamed up with John Morrison, which also, if I mentioned, Morrison did like the Starship Crash, where he did this jumping off the top turnbuckle, went over a ladder and land, and I think the person rolled out of the way, but he still would have landed if the person rolled out of the way, which is awesome too. But Rollins and Morrison teamed up. Kevin Owens also had a spot where he did like a lion soul into a ladder that took out both Rollins and Morrison. It was just pretty sick. Some great back and forths. Matt Riddle again with his RKOs I mentioned too. Then the finish came. Like I said, I was worried, but it didn't happen, that Drew McIntyre was going to come back out and win the match. Like, I thought they were going to pull the whole thing of like, oh, he's done. Wait a minute, no, he's back. And again, that would have gotten me even booed more, and I didn't want to see that happen. But it looked like Seth Rollins was about to win. And it had been a little bit since we had seen him, but Big E came rolling right back in, climbed the ladder, took Seth Rollins, and from nearly the top of the ladder, jumped off the ladder and hit a big ending on him. If you saw the live reactions, I popped. And I went nuts. And I'm like, come on, E. Come on, E. Come on, E. He climbed the ladder. Big E, my pick to win, is Mr. Money in the Bank for 2021. I love it. I love it. Again, Big E, again, I feel like got to a point, where it's like he found his footing in the mid-cards. Like, he found his footing where it's like he feels stable right now. Like, he was able to, put over Apollo Crews with the Intercontinental Championship and keep himself in, like, in like a solid momentum where it's like he can take a breather from now being in the spotlight and he can still come back and be okay. Him having this briefcase is going to help slowly make him more and more into a main eventer. And I don't know about you, I've been waiting for that for a long time. Again, when I first started watching wrestling in 2013, it was right when Big E first came to the main roster. He's literally one of the few guys I've literally watched from scratch to finish, well, since I first started watching. And I've always thought he had world title potential. I always saw him as a future world champion. And he's finally getting that spot. And, I hope I'm right. I feel like he will really benefit from having a lengthy reign with the Money in the Bank contract. It could be maybe not until like next year's WrestleMania he cashes in. Although some people think he could go to Raw and cash in on Bobby Lashley and kind of get payback for what Lashley's done to like Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston. Which, if they do that, fine. I still want to see him though face Roman Reigns. I know someone suggested, I heard one point say, Roman Reigns faces The Rock at WrestleMania 38, and then after Roman beats The Rock, Big E cashes on Roman and wins the title. I'll take it. Like, give him a couple, main event feuds, like a couple other, non-title feuds if you want to do right now. Like, if you want to have him feud with, Seth Rollins has his SummerSlam match set up. After Seth Rollins does his business at SummerSlam, if you want to have him in the fall feud with Seth Rollins, Big E and Seth Rollins, works for me. That'll keep him at good momentum. Maybe if Raw comes over, I don't know who he would have a feud with from Raw. If he goes to Raw or to go over to SmackDown in the draft, just give him like one or two people to work with. But again, I think he's really going to benefit from being Mr. Money in the Bank. And again, I went nuts. And again, Drew McIntyre not winning this may have been the best thing for him. Like I said, I love you, Drew. I wanted you to get your moment. I still want you to get your moment. But this would not have been the right time. So, I'm totally cool with Jinder Mahal stopping that from happening and continuing this, lackluster, nobody cares, but to me, it's whatever feud with Jinder Mahal. Again, Drew will get his shot again someday. Just give him a breather. Give him a breather, and, like I said, people will be happy for him. I mean, he was, cheered for last night whenever he beat down Shanky on Raw. So, like I said, just back off on him, and, just when the time is right, could be in a year, could be by WrestleMania next year, could be by SummerSlam next year, whatever it is, they can give him that moment. So, that's my thoughts. And again, excellent match, and like I said, that was just amazing. And then the main event. Roman Reigns versus Edge for the Universal Championship. I like this match, but the first portion they were kind of going for some type of like an old school, slower paced style. And the crowd was basically chanting, at the beginning, like, let's go Roman, let's go Edge, or Roman sucks, but going back and forth with all that stuff. By the way, because I didn't get to watch SmackDown Live on Friday, I did not get to see like that 3D graphic they have for Roman when his entrance music first playing. Because usually it used to be just him just going, whoa. This time they had him staring down, and then it moved. I thought that was awesome. I get why they're trying to make the match slow at the beginning, because Roman was really trying to taunt the crowd, and he was really trash talking them and getting them to boo him, which was just excellent how he was able to do it. But I felt like that part with the more slower portion got a little bit too long, just a little bit too long. But once the pace picked up, this match is great, as I expected it to be. There was a part outside the ring where I think Roman went for a spear. Edge got out of the way, and Roman speared himself. I know Edge speared Roman shortly afterwards. I remember the Usos tried to get involved, but then the Mysterios came out and basically just said, ain't happening, got them out of the ring. Before this match, though, Seth Rollins had an interview basically saying, how he's been teasing, some tension with Edge. How Edge basically cut in front of him and got his world title shot. But he said that he was going to keep his eye, and he's next in line for the winner of the main event. Well, towards the end of the match, there was a spot where one of them bumped into the referee, which was Charles Robinson, and Charles went down. It did look like he did legitimately get injured, though. Like Giles was worried, because the way he got taken down and his knee twisted. Again, from having a knee injury before, to me it looked a little bit real. So for a little bit, there was not a referee round. Now, I'm pretty sure that referee bump spot was necessary, but I think Charles Robinson legitimately did get hurt from it. And this is where Roman stepped out. He went to a chair and snapped the leg off of it to use as that small little piece that Edge has been taunting him with. And Edge does get Roman into a submission, and there was a couple times where both these guys had each other in submission maneuvers, but then they would it looked like they were about to be faded, but they no, not yet, basically. And then Edge just wrenched on that piece, but then Seth Rollins came out and super kicked Edge in the back of the head. Now I'm wondering. Because obviously, it's the long story short here is, Seth Rollins tried to cost Edge the match, but even though Edge had kicked Edge, Roman tried to pin him, but it wasn't enough. So the match went on for another couple more minutes, and then when Edge and Roman were getting ready to spear each other, Rollins ran back up to the apron again, and Edge gave him a boot, and Rollins fell off. But then off the distraction, Roman speared Edge, and Roman won the match. And then afterwards, Seth gets in and starts just beating the hell and going nuts on Edge. He even starts yelling something at Roman, but then Edge gets up and starts attacking him. They start brawling, and they basically brawl their way out of the arena. And my nitpick, though, is did Seth say he wanted who was ever next in line after the winner of this match? If so, why did he still go? I mean, I get it, Edge cut in front of him, but if he was basically saying he was going to see who won this match, why would he still cost Edge the match, though? You know what I'm saying? I mean, yes, it was effective in a way where it's like, okay, now Edge has a reason to go after Rollins because, Edge was hungry to get his title back, and Rollins costed him it. Just like Rollins almost costed him, his life, much worse, 7 years ago when he almost stomped him in the neck. Which I'm starting to wonder now, are they going to let Seth use the curb stomp on Edge? I'm wondering with Edge's history of neck issues. I'm assuming yes, but you never know. But that was my little nitpick about that. Like, okay, Seth Rollins basically, was obviously upset that Edge cut in front of him, but then he's like, oh, I'll wait and see who wins this match. Yet, why did he still cost Edge, But afterwards, because to me it was just like, oh, Rollins going to leave Edge laying there. But no, both of them like brawling and basically brawling their way to backstage. We don't see them brawling more backstage. But Roman then asks for a microphone, and I'm like, okay, he's showing up. He is showing up. Roman asks for a microphone, takes from Heyman, and says, the whole world will acknowledge me. And I'm thinking, he's showing up. He hands the microphone back to Heyman, and then it happened. Oh my god! Oh my god! Santa's here! The reaction from Pat McAfee and Michael Cole was actually pretty good. But the crowd popped, and yes, sure enough, John Cena returned. And he says how it's been way too long, typical, excitement, high-fiving people as entrance, pulling out the towel, throwing, things in the audience. It's true, though, because last time we saw John Cena was the build for WrestleMania 36, and he was in that Firefly Funhouse match with Bray Wyatt. Well, okay, I was going to say the last time before, he was there on the SmackDown or two, the last SmackDown or two, before the pandemic began. Because, of course, he was there live whenever The Fiend appeared the night after Super Showdown when he lost the title. And, the week after Super Showdown, where he lost the title to Goldberg, still want to forget that ever happened, and challenged Cena to the match. Because I was going to say, the last run that Cena had in front of fans was when he was around briefly before the 2019 Rumble, but then he ended up not being in the Rumble. But I forgot, he was there for the last week or two before the pandemic happened. But he came out, basically got in Roman's face and went, you can't see me. And, yep. Roman Reigns, John Cena, SummerSlam? Let's go. I'm sure the match will be good, but the promo wars, I cannot wait to see. So yeah, Roman Reigns wins the main event. Like I said, it was a great match. I get what they're trying to do with like the slower portion, the first half. Like I said, it felt like it took a little bit too long with that. So, other than that, great match, great ending, and yeah, that's my Money in the Bank review. Again, I liked pretty much everything except for the women's ladder match. And because that gave the B. Again, the Raw tag title match was decent. They tried. I'm not going to say it was horrible, but it was just a fucking match that should have been on Raw. The tag match on the pre-show, saw highlights, that was good. Bobby Lashley and Kofi did what they had to do. Rhea and Charlotte had a great match. I loved, of course, my favorite match is the men's ladder match, and then the main event was great, and this return of Cena, and the setup for Edge and Rollins for SummerSlam works for me. So I gave this show a B. Mark says from now on, he's not getting his hopes up about Becky until he actually hears her music. I'm right there with you right now, man. You warned me last night. Gotta admit, got my hopes up. I shouldn't have. Cena got a huge pop, he did, and that big ending off the ladder was impressive. Indeed it was. Well, guys, let's do it for my Money in the Bank review. The Good Show. Next, of course, after a couple minute breather, we get to the not so good show, Monday Night Raw. I am so excited to talk about that show. Oh, lordy, am I. Stay tuned, guys. What are your thoughts on Money in the Bank? Leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. Slap a like on the video, and subscribe for more content on my channel. And follow me on Twitter at DemandAirBoy93. I'll see you guys in a bit for my Raw review. Behave yourselves. I'll check it out. Peace out, everybody.